Oops, put that one on. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. We're talking about how your expectations affect your weight loss. Managing your expectations is really one of the things you've got to do to get the results you want, because there's two key ways that you have inaccurate expectations that can very easily sabotage your success. So the first expectation you got to manage is how fast you're going to lose the weight. You have to understand that your entire life you have been conditioned by the diet industry to have ridiculous expectations of weight loss, because they're always putting outliers in your face and saying this is what's possible. And so you're always seeing the before and after pictures, really of outlier people that lost weight the fastest and how they lost the weight, what their motivations were, whatever else. The deeper context is never really explained. But it's important to recognize that how you think you're going to lose weight now is probably beyond what you're actually going to lose. And that's not a problem, right? Again, we lose weight as quickly or as slowly as we lose it. But if you go into it expecting to lose 2-3 pounds a week and you lose a pound a week, you feel discouraged. So again, our expectations really impact how successful we feel. Even if we're losing weight, if we're not reaching the numbers we think we should reach, we can feel disappointed. I see this all the time. And so we need to recognize that everyone loses weight at different rates and speed. This is one of our very first thing you'll notice when you look at metabolic lab studies they do, where they'll put people into metabolic labs and they will track every calorie in, every calorie out. Everyone's the same. And at the end of, a month or a couple months, people have lose dramatically different weight. Okay. And so that's just how it is. And remember that slow progress is still progress. All right. And again, what you consider to be slow is really out of whack, because again, you've been conditioned for so long to think about really, really fast weight loss because you're always being exposed to these outlier stories. So that's the first expectation you got to manage, is how quickly you think you're going to lose weight. The second one is the expectation that you're going to start your diet on day one and be perfect until you reach your goal weight. This feeds into that all or nothing mentality that so many dieters have. And it's important to check this right at the door, because you cannot be perfect on a long enough timeline. Yes, you can be perfect for a couple days, a couple weeks, maybe a couple months sometimes. But the longer that time frame goes, the lower your chances of being perfect are, which is completely fine and normal. You do not need to be perfect. But if you go into the process thinking you have to be perfect and then you make a mistake, it feels catastrophic and it usually blow you right off the course. So making mistakes is fine. You can still lose weight. The importance is to get back on track quickly. But that all starts, your ability to do that starts by reframing your expectations from thinking that you're going to be perfect and recognizing that this is a process of improving, of starting where you're at, being as good or bad as you are with all your eating, and then improving and getting better at it. Okay, that's the secret to really getting the weight loss results you're looking for. So if you manage these two expectations, I think you set yourself up for much better success. So spend a little time, think about them, and change them up so that they support you. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. We'll get to them. Let's fix these. Yeah. I'm laughing. It's funny stuff going on. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. Any questions are fine. Let's see. I thought I saw a question here about apple cider or something. Oh yeah, I did. Rick, your thoughts on using apple cider vinegar? I don't. I'm not saying there's not a time and a place for that. I'm not saying there's not a time and a place for apple cider vinegar, but it's like, listen, there's no tea, there's no vinegar, there's no product. None of this shit's going to fix your weight. All right. So it's like, I'm not saying that maybe if you drink apple cider vinegar, it'll help you with your appetite or do something. I don't know enough about that, but we have to stop looking. There's no like one little thing you're going to do that's magically going to fix your weight. You've got to stop thinking that way. That's part of the problem. So again, I don't know enough about apple cider vinegar to know, but I promise you that it's not going to, if you've had a weight issue for a while, and you start using apple cider vinegar, it's not going to fix your weight issue. I can promise you that. I'm not going to argue that maybe it'll make it easier for some reason, but it ain't going to fix it. So yeah. What's up, Jody? Um, Jim, what macaroni did you mention? Yeah, Berea chickpea or Berea protein. I like the protein one. Now, again, this is part of the a whole story, right? So, I mean, is the chickpea one better for you? I listen, I've been doing this for a long time because I've been a vegetarian for pescatarian for 25 years. And so I've tried a lot of the alternative type things. And there's some, I think we can't just always go towards the healthiest thing, you know? So it's like, would the chickpea pasta be the best? Maybe, but is it the best tasting and most enjoyable? Not for me. Okay. So again, I like the protein more. I think that just adds chickpea in with regular semolina flour, I believe. And then I think there's like a whole chickpea one, and I don't really like the chickpea one. So again, I've tried all different types of pastas, so yeah, but Berea protein to me, I actually prefer it now to regular straight pasta. I like having some of the chickpea flour in there. So I would definitely recommend that when you're eating pasta. I like that. Again, just grades of things better. But yeah, the Berea protein is a good one. Betty Griff says, my expectations, I watch what other people can do. Why can't I? Yeah, exactly. Why can't I? Because you're not them. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest problems with dieting. It's so strange. I mean, we all do this pretty much in life, but it's especially during diets where, the whole diet industry is watching people that have lost weight. And then you'll be like, oh, just tell me what you did. Who gives a shit what they did? You're probably not gonna be able to do it. You're not them. You know what I mean? Like, oh, how do you play the guitar so well? Oh, I practice 5 hours a day. Okay, great. Are you gonna do that? And it's like, people want to know how you lost weight. You already know how to lose weight. Just because someone else did it doesn't mean you're gonna do it. So it's not enough to just hear what they did. It's about going inside their mind and understanding how they got themselves to do it. That's one of the big shifts you want to make when you approach this, because just knowing what to do is not your problem. You know enough about what you should do to lose weight. The problem is you're not going to get yourself to do it consistently. So hearing more tactics of how people lose weight is not going to help you. That's not the solution. What's up, Mario? Nice to see you here on a Friday. Love the Fridays. Mario says, I'm going on vacation next week and I haven't lost nearly as much weight as I was hoping. So now I don't even feel happy about the vacation. I'm worried about how I'll look in summer clothes. Yeah. And this is what sucks. It's, the good news is this isn't just the weight. It's more your mindset. It's also the weight too. I get that. But that's the thing. Oh boy. I'm doing this. This motivation thing is one of the most exciting things I've done in a while, because I'm really like just condensing my most powerful motivation techniques that I can share with you. And I'm going to give that all to you. But this is what I'm talking about with the weight. I'll give you the nutshell version of the motivation training is that we have been conditioned in this society to focus on you listening to me right now. If you're overweight, if you're a dieter, your motivation to lose weight is superficial and inadequate. And it's superficial and inadequate because you've been conditioned to think about weight loss motivation in terms of how you look. That's like, and I don't give a shit. Tell me how I want to feel better. No, you don't. You don't. I'm telling you, you don't. You just want to look better. You want to look better because literally every single diet ad is about how you look. It's always a before and after picture. It's always about how you look. And so this is how you try and motivate yourself. And it ain't up to the task. And so the deeper stuff is this here. You're going to go on a vacation and you may or may not have a good time because of your weight. And it doesn't have to be that way, but it's going to be that way. And so this is what I'm talking about, though, for two reasons. One is we want to get our weight under control so we can enjoy our life at a whole nother level. Right. That being said, the weight isn't really in control of how we feel. And I know it's a chicken or the egg sort of thing in your mind, but it really starts with how you feel right now, even being overweight. So if you were a client of mine, I would be definitely working with you to go on this vacation and have the greatest time possible. That's what Program Yourself did. It's funny. I don't know if she's here yet, but I got to write to her. She was asking about, should I start the program now or should I start? She practices Ramadan. So should I start after that? And I was like, and I get it, right? Because everyone's like, oh, weight loss. But I'm like, why would you want to wait to start feeling better and become the best version of yourself. And that's what I make this all about. It's really not just about what you look like. It's about who you are. It's about enjoying your life more. It's about going on vacation. And regardless of what your weight is, you have a great time because you're on vacation and you enjoy the hell out of it. And so, what happens is people, the dieter especially, is so fixated on their weight that constantly thinking about it makes them feel bad constantly. Even if you're going on vacation, I still feel bad about my weight. And you live in this nonstop negative headspace, these negative emotions constantly within you. And it becomes a trap because you feel terrible. And it turns out the only thing that takes your mind off and gives you some relief from that feeling is when you're eating. And it's a trap, just like an addiction. And so, again, I'd be working with you to go on this vacation and have a great time. And if you could start to separate your mood from your weight for a little bit, you'll start to feel it. You'll start to realize it becomes a lot easier to eat better and lose the weight. So again, it's a chicken or the egg thing, but most people are approaching it completely wrong. But I hope you have a nice vacation anyways. Suk says, it will clean your stomach, vinegar. It's going to clean your stomach. It's not going to clean your stomach. I don't know, folks. I don't know. Like, what's vinegar? Because here's the thing, right? This is my problem with vinegar. And I don't have a problem with vinegar. I don't know enough about vinegar. Okay. But it's not going to clean your stomach. Like, it's not going to clean your stomach. And I don't even know about vinegar. And I know it's not going to clean your stomach because what if you eat it, go get some fast food and you go eat a whole value meal. And then what? And what? Then you drink some vinegar and it just washes all the sins away. And who gives a shit about your stomach? It's your intestines that are where the story's going on, But folks, there's no simple solutions. And you just got to buy that. Dieters will spend their entire lives chasing, short-term quick fixes. And next thing you know, they look back and it's been 50 years of being overweight and they've never figured it out. And they're no further along, Yeah, Suk says walk for an hour. Yeah, walk for an hour. I like that better. Yeah, I think walking for an hour is a better strategy. Everyone's body type is different. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you like Palmini or Pesta Zero? Thoughts on them? What's Palmini? I don't even know what Palmini is, but here's a chance for me to maybe learn something new here. Palmini pasta. Okay. Low carb hearts. What? Low carb hearts? Low carb pasta. That's what it is. Low carb pasta. Hearts of palm? It's made out of artichokes? I never tried that one. Don't know. That's interesting. I never heard of that one. So yeah, I don't know. Give it a shot. Pasta Zero. I'm sure it's a similar thing. Yeah, I don't know about all the pastas. I kind of stick with what I know. You know what I mean? And what I know is I stick with the Berea Protein Plus, but who cares? I'm like that. If those of you in my program know me, I'm a creature of habit, and I found something that works for me. Cool. I'm happy with it. It's that sweet spot. Will I optimize on it sometime? Maybe I'll try Palmini. Most pasta things I try are not very good, to be honest. And what I do with pasta, let me make this clear. I eat pasta once a week. I used to eat it every single night and now I eat it once a week. So that's the strategy. A lot of times we think about replacement, but I think about compressing how much I eat it or how often I eat it into very limited terms. So I wouldn't even care if I ate regular pasta. But I do. I'm looking to optimize it a bit. And like I said, when I optimized it all the way, I went to the chickpea pasta. I didn't like it very much. The midway point of the protein Berea stuff, I think, is a mix. I like that more. And again, like I said, I like it more than regular pasta now. So who knows where I'll go. But yeah, play around with those folks. But here's the thing I just want to reemphasize. What I'm saying between the lines here is if Palmini or Pasta Zero, and they have zero carbs in it, and it's made out of artichokes or whatever it's made out of, that's great. Okay, so it sounds good. Okay, cool, that part. But we also got to take into account your enjoyment of it. Okay, we've got to take both these into account. You're not going to eat shit that you don't like for long. All right, so you've got to take into account how you feel about it. And dieters, I don't care what I got to do, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Well, that's not true. That's clearly not true. Let's look at your history. Why do you say that? When dieters say, just tell me what to do, I'll do whatever I have to do to lose weight. Like, that's the second biggest lie too. I know what I got to do. I just got to get myself to do it. No, you don't know how to do it if you're not doing it. And no, you're not going to do anything. Just tell me what to do. What are we doing here? No. and no. You've known what to do for 30 years and you haven't done it. So why are you saying that? Yeah, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but we got to start with honesty, right? If you're going to get new results and better results, we got to start by being honest and being clear headed, you know. What are your thoughts on long fast, 3+ days? I'm assuming you're asking about long fast in the context of losing weight and not some spiritual reason. If it's for spiritual reasons, who gives a shit? I'm not a spiritual guide here. If we're talking about weight loss, I think 3-day fasts, I don't know like what the point of it is, unless you plan on long fasting every week or whatever. I don't see the point of it because I don't care about fast weight loss. I care about long-term weight loss. And so if you plan on implementing long fasts into your strategy long-term, then maybe there's a case to be made for it if you love long fasting. If you look forward to your 3-day long fast and you love it while you're doing it, and afterwards you're like, damn, I wish I could do 10 days of long fasting. I love it so much. If that's you, knock yourself out, long fast yourself away down to your goal weight. But if you're like the average person who just wants to fast so you can lose some quick weight, then I think it's a silly strategy because I have fasted multiple days. And, my experience was I dreaded it when it was coming. I hated it while I was doing it. And then I was obsessed with food for a week or two after it. So it was a very bad weight loss strategy. Long term, you may lose a little bit of weight the fourth day, when you step on the scale, oh, I dropped 5 pounds. Who gives a shit? You got to start eating again. So I only focus and commit to long-term strategies. And that's been one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. So those are kind of my thoughts on that. Yes, it helps to go poop. Oh, the vinegar helps you make you poop. See, again, I don't want to be eating like processed fast food and then need to drink vinegar to poop. I'd rather just eat regular food that takes care of all that for me. Do you know what I'm saying? So again, I'm not saying, oh, okay, well, sometimes I eat that and it helps me. Okay, great. But it's not a real strategy. It's like, I will tell you that the most infuriating commercial to me that was ever made, I don't know if you all remember this, but it used to be the guy, he was at like a county fair and he's like eating all the bullshit. And he's like, oh, you get the acid reflux and the heartburn, and he's like, oh, just take I don't know if it was a Tums or I forget what the stuff was, but just take this. It fixes it all. It ain't fixing shit. It's making you not aware. It's making you not aware of what the symptoms are. So it's fixing that part of it, but it ain't fixing what that's doing to your body at all. And so, again, I think this idea that you're going to, I think this is rampant in our society, obviously, is that we're always looking to treat the symptom. And again, the vinegar, if it's going to, help you go poop because you're eating, trash that constipates you, I don't find that to be a solution. I feel like that's something that just treating the symptom. And now you're just building up the deeper problem worse because you don't even realize it. So I like to think in a more holistic way anyways, just in pretty much in terms of everything. Mario says your laugh is contagious. Oh, thank you. I've never tried heart of palm. I've tried heart of palm and I love it. I love artichoke hearts so much. That's a heart of palm, right? Why do they call it that? Why don't they call it heart of artichoke? Am I crazy? Is heart of palm not artichoke? Is palm something else? Oh, Jody says palmini is gross. Okay, it's not the same. Not the same. What is heart of palm? It's I know this. See, I kind of knew it deep down here somewhere. They're totally different. Totally different. So I don't know what I'm talking about there, right? Palmini is gross. So Jody doesn't like it. All right. I get you. I don't like most pasta. My wife gets something. I don't know what the hell it is. It's black. It's like, I don't know if it's made out of seaweed or it's some pasta made out of something. And it's like, if I'm going to eat something I want to eat, I want to enjoy it. I think that's so important. That's such a huge part of my philosophy. And I think this is really important. I don't think it's a good strategy to never have, I don't think it's a good idea to have a strategy where like you never eat what you really like. I just think it creates this constantly building sense of deprivation that ultimately overtakes the dam. It's funny. I saw this picture of a dam failing and it was fascinating. And I was thinking I should do a video on this. Let me just write this down real quick because this was so good. I thought it was such a great I thought it was such a great metaphor for how willpower fails, right? Because it's like, you're going to see it and all of a sudden it's like, and all the water rushes through. And I'm like, that's kind of how it feels. And so it's like, if your diet plan is like, okay, I'm no more sugar ever again. No more sugar. I'm never getting sugar. I'm never getting carbs again. Okay. And so it's like you start building up this pressure, this deprivation, and at some point it blasts through the willpower. So I'm a big fan of having your pleasure meals and making them pleasurable. Now, again, I'm all for optimizing them too. So my pasta meal, I had tried different pastas that were healthier. I didn't like them, so I wasn't enjoying the meal. So it's like, well, no, but I optimized it. So I made a chickpea, which is better than just regular one. Okay, great. And then I started having like a bunch of broccoli before I eat the pasta. Okay, great. I optimized it and I still enjoy the hell out of it. So I think that's the difference. And I think this is really important because I see dieters with the all or nothing thing. Oh, I want to lose weight and I want to lose weight as quick as possible. And now they create a reality where they never get to enjoy the food. And I don't think you're going to live a life where you don't enjoy food. I have not seen very many people do that. I always say that I've interviewed a lot of people that have successfully lost weight and kept it off. And they're almost have internalized this, whether they realize it or not. They still enjoy their food and all the rest of it. There's one guy I remember interviewing. He had lost weight, but he was such a strict dieter and he'd been doing it for 10 years. But this guy was miserable. He's like, I don't enjoy food. I don't like thinking about it. I'm always fighting it. And I was like, man, okay, you got the weight down, but it's like, that sounds miserable. That was an outlier in terms of that happening. But I don't think you can operate around hating what you eat. I don't think that's a good long-term strategy. So hearts of palm are hearts of palm. Okay. The core and growing bud of certain palm trees. I guess that must be where palm oil comes from, right? Palm trees, palm oil. I'm learning something here. It's it's fing bean pasta. All right. And it's yum. Well, we all got different tastes. I'm a dessert junkie, still struggling, but having smaller portions, less frequent might be sustainable. There you go, Dervet. That's what I'm talking about. Now, Dervet, I know, is done some pretty intense things, right? So Dervet's what you told me, Dervet, what your process was. Oh, I see. Fucking okay. So it's bean pasta. That's the one. It's black bean pasta, and it's delish. It's delicious. Anyway, so yeah, Dervet, I know from last week, was saying she's done really quite extreme changes to how she's eating and living, and she's lost quite an extreme amount of weight. But now, Dervet, you got to start reframing the dessert junkie piece, right? Because you're not a dessert junkie anymore. You're now a dessert aficionado. And a dessert aficionado really savors and tastes and enjoys the dessert, kind of like what you're saying. Less frequent, smaller portions might be the way that you can manage it, not completely get rid of desserts forever. Because you're going to find once you get to your goal weight, if your strategy for living with that goal weight is I can never eat dessert again, you're going to say, life's not worth it. I'd rather put the weight on if I can't have dessert. Dieters are always giving themselves these choices, these shitty choices that I can either live at my goal weight by not eating dessert, or I can eat dessert and be 50 pounds overweight. You know what I mean? And it's you're constrained by your mindset. I know I say this every day, but it's always these limited options you give yourself that you just don't realize. Because again, you've been conditioned by the diet industry to think like a dieter, and you can't think outside of that. So anyways, Aaliyah, how do you overcome the guilt of when your mom cooks unhealthy food and you have to say no? Oh, okay. Well, that now we're talking my language, because that's my life still. But that was definitely my life back in the day, because I was living with my mom at certain times. I was living my mom at first when I started changing this. That was probably one of the hardest parts. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people, because when you start to eat healthier, live healthier, and lose weight, it affects the people around you that you're closest to. And it's not that they don't want you to be healthier and all the rest of it, but it does throw off the dynamics, right? All of a sudden it breaks rapport, is how we refer to that in the biz. All of a sudden I'm not eating the foods, especially for my mom. That was how she showed love. That was literally her number one way to show love, is cooking food. And so all of a sudden you're saying no. And on top of that, my dad was an eater. He passed away when he was 54 and I was 9. So now all of a sudden I'm not eating like he did. I'm not eating like she did. And it's like, there's a lot of emotional tension, stress, guilt, a lot of stuff going on with that. So how do you deal with it? The first step is, I think you need to be crystal clear on your motivation. I think you've got to be extra motivated. Everyone's got challenges, and the challenge of living with someone who intentionally or unintentionally is sabotaging you or trying to is a big challenge. So when you have that big challenge, you have to really be motivated. You have to be clear about what your goal is, why you want to achieve it, and how important it is to you. So that's the first step. The second step is And it's not easy. I think you have to prepare yourself that you're going to feel bad. You're going to feel guilty about it. It's tough. So I think in a weird way, one way around it is to remind them and reinforce that you still love them. You still care for them. You just don't want to, you're changing the way you eat. And that will go a little bit of the way. And then the final piece is really coming up with strategies that help you to eat the way you want to. So sometimes it's not about just saying no. Sometimes it's about saying yes, but then eating less. And then sometimes it is saying no. My mom would like we'll go over there once a week for dinner, and she will get these desserts, and I just don't want to eat them most of the time. I don't. And so yeah, in the beginning I'd feel guilty about doing it, but I told her I'm not really eating this way. But what it comes down to is if I say, oh, I'm not eating this way, and then I eat it, she's going to get it the next week. If I say I'm not eating that way anymore and I don't eat it, there's a way better chance she's not going to get it the next week. So it really is the initial actions send a strong message. Your words send no message. Okay. So you can say, oh, I'm eating better. And it's like, again, they want to sabotage you, not because they don't want you to get good results, but it's like, I always say it this metaphorically, as soon as you start eating healthier and making better decisions, it's like you're holding a mirror up to them. That's how it feels for them. And they start to get kind of insecure, and it makes things a little awkward for them. And that's what you're feeling part of. And so it's weird. I mean, because you're doing all the work to try and eat better, but on top of it, you also have to kind of like calm the people around you down and deal with that as well. It just is what it is, but you got to deal with it because it's going to be there for most of us. So again, the easiest way for them to get rid of that discomfort is for you to just start eating like shit again. Whew. All right. Thank God that's over. So again, what you say means nothing. It's what you do. And so what I would do is my mom cooks unhealthy food. I know she's going to do that. I want to set myself up for success in that situation. So what I would do is a half hour before I'm going to eat, I'm probably going to I'll eat a banana and an apple, drink some water. I'm going to go into that situation feeling good, hunger wise. And then I'm going to go in and I might eat a little bit of it and I'll say, I'm good. That behavior is going to send a strong message. Now you may have to do that a couple times, but I promise you, it won't be that many times. And the irony is once you do it a couple times, you're going to know how to do it. And so that's the way you do it. It's not what you say. Okay. So do not just get mad at them and say, well, I told you I don't want to eat this. They make it and then you eat it. It's your behaviors that are communicating more than what your words are saying. I hope this helps you out. It says, how do I know if I have a legitimate food addiction? I've done the test, but I don't know if I trust them. Yeah, I get that, Mario. I don't trust that test. I say that because I've worked with too many people that have taken that test and say, oh, I'm a food addict. And then we work together and it turns out they weren't a food addict. They just had no strategy. Dieters have zero strategy. You know that? I know I say this all the time, but I want to say it one more time. All the diets I've taught you is to have a tactic at a time. Everything's a tactic. It's one tactic. The diet industry is a marketing industry, and it's built to appeal to people that are already overwhelmed, frustrated, depressed about their weight. So they need to make the plan to lose weight seem conceptually as simple as possible. So they make it about one thing. And that's why we get plans like just stop eating carbs, just stop eating for 16 hours, just count your points, just eat 1,200 calories, just track your calories. It's always like one thing. And then it's up to you to force yourself to do it. One thing is never going to fix this problem. It's a multifaceted issue. You need to have a comprehensive approach to really master it. So that being said, I find most dieters have no strategy at all. And you know this because if you've been dieting for 10, 20, 30 years, you're no better. You don't know anything more about losing weight now than you did before you started your first diet, which is really weird because anything else in your life that you did for 10, 20, 30 years, there's always improvement. Dieting is the one exception where you're in the exact same fucking spot, if not worse, than when you started. And it's because you're never learning anything. You're just like, oh, okay, I'll stop eating carbs. Now I'm going to stop eating fat. Okay. And it's like, you never really internalize any of it. You never come up with real strategies of how to manage your mindset, your lifestyle, your eating. And so you do it for a little while and then you just go back to normal. So that being said, I don't think dieters have any real sense of how to really change what they're doing. And so when the food addiction test comes along, it's like, oh, yeah, that's my problem. I'm addicted to food. And so I think a lot of people take that test, but they already got an implicit bias that they want to answer all these questions in a way that's going to show they're addicted to food because that's us. See, I'm addicted to food. And I just don't buy it. Now, I'm not saying, I know that there are people that are addicted to food like cocaine. Like I know that does exist, but it's probably not you. just to be honest. It's rarely, it's an outlier thing, a real outlier thing. And the bigger issue is probably you don't have the right mindset, you don't have a supportive lifestyle, and you don't have any eating strategies to truly change your eating long term in a way that makes you slimmer. That's like, you know what I mean? I got to come up with a test like that because I know people love the food addiction test. You know what I mean? You love scoring a 10 on that because it becomes, oh, finally, I know why I'm addicted to food. Oh, there it is. I promise you it's more than that. I promise you it's more than that. So yeah, once you can change the other stuff, it's different. Yeah. Palm is something else. It's the baby shoot of a palm tree. Yes. The baby shoot of a palm tree. Hearts of palm. So maybe I don't even know if I like hearts of palm now. No, I don't know if I've ever tried those. They taste like artichokes. Maybe I'll calm. Maybe I did try them, thought it was artichokes. Anything natural will help you slowly, but not going to hurt you. Yeah, maybe. I've had black bean pasta. Yeah, okay. That's what we had. I think it's a black bean, but it's not even, it's black beans, something. My mom would make me plates and bring them to me. Told her she was an enabler. Yeah, that's what I mean. It happens, but here's what I'm trying to say. And I know you're not going to believe this right now, but I promise you that, Mackenzie said that we should make a food strategy test. Now that is a good idea, Mackenzie. I need to think of something like that. Cause yeah, the food addiction thing, people want that. Oh, that's such a good idea. Food strategy test. Yeah. And I'll get zeros. If you're a dieter, you're going to get a 0. And then we'll put that up against your addiction thing. You know what I mean? Oh, that's a good idea. Thank you, Mackenzie. So yeah, Kelly, right? So it's like, again, we're going to have people that are going to sabotage us. But what I'm trying to tell you is I know you get mad about it. I got mad about it. I was very frustrated. And again, my situation, I was like, my dad died of a heart attack. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting healthier. You would think everyone's going to kind of support it. I know they want me to be healthy. I knew it's not that, although I didn't feel this way at the time. But again, it's just that it breaks rapport because you're going to realize a lot of your connection with people that you're close to, you're going to realize is through food, through commiserating about weight, all this stuff. And so when you start being healthy or losing weight, it breaks rapport. So that's how I think you should look at it. And again, it's not fair that you're making all these healthy changes and doing all this work. And then on top of it, you got to kind of help them with their emotions, but it will get you better results ultimately, So again, but even Kelly, like, yeah, if someone brings a plate to me, the message I want to send is I don't want it. There is no stronger message than when you just it sounds like I'm a jerk son because I know what you're saying. Like I feel totally guilty. I'm a people pleaser. I want people to feel good and be happy. And so if someone does something nice for me, it's hard to say, no, thank you. But this is where the motivation comes in. Like, no, I don't want it. Even if someone means something nice, I don't want that. I don't want to eat it. It throws me off and I don't like it. So you got to get crystal clear on your motivation. And then we also use strategy, and the strategy, I still use it to this day. If I'm going to go to my mom's to eat on a Thursday, I'm going to eat my lunch later, and sometimes I'll eat even a little bit more. I eat it later. I eat a little bit more so that I'm going into that dinner feeling satisfied so that I can make good choices. Because if I go into that dinner hungry, forget about it. There's a great chance I'm going to overeat. Okay. So, yeah, that's how it is. But again, when the dessert comes out and you just say, no, thank you. And don't eat any of it. Oh my God, it's uncomfortable. I'm not going to say that, but it's empowering too. And it sends a very strong message, and it changes things very quickly. It doesn't take much of that to do, and it changes things. But if you're just saying like, oh, come on, stop getting this dessert for me. I don't want to keep eating it. They're going to get it the next time. Okay. So just understand that. All right. It's the inner corn sprouting about a certain palm trees. Hearts of palm much better than artichoke hearts, in my opinion. All right. I'm going to try it. I don't know. I got a hankering for hearts of palm. I stopped craving junk food and I'm so happy. That's great, Kalina. Yeah. The junk food stuff, it's an addiction again. So I am all for the addiction paradigm with food. I am, but it's not, I just will not believe that food and cocaine, because I had someone say that yesterday. They're like, oh, well, cocaine is sugar's 9 times as addictive as cocaine. And it's just like, I don't believe that. I just don't believe it. I don't know, because it doesn't, it doesn't affect you psychologically the same way. You don't lose your head doing sugar. I mean, I get it. I get it does trigger your pleasure center. Similar. I get all that stuff. But, if someone eats a cupcake and someone snorts a couple lines of cocaine, there's a different effect on the person. And so, but that being said, I do think there's addictive qualities of food, and certainly junk food, processed food, fast food. These are all very addictively, they're designed to be addictive. And so, yes, I think they're addictive. So I like looking at it that way. And at the same time, I don't think it's quite the addiction for most people that hardcore substances are. But yeah, if you stop craving junk food, it is obviously someone's going to make it a lot easier for you. Say my mom doesn't care about being an enabler. She tries to tell me it's fine. Yeah, you're going to find that's a big challenge for a lot of us, and it's a challenge. I always say this. I mean, we all have challenges, right? Everyone's got like their own unique challenge they got to deal with. So what we want to do is we want to identify it first. That's the first step. So what's my biggest challenge right now? Okay. So we identify it and then we go to work on it. See, this is so different than the dieting thing. The dieting thing, you think you're going to start your plan tomorrow and just eat perfect all day. Like you're going to change absolutely everything about yourself tomorrow. And it's such a silly concept. But what I like to do is I like to focus on the worst eating habit at a time. So you start with your worst eating habit, and your worst eating habit might be, when I have dinner with my mom, I overeat because she's always making this unhealthy food. Okay. So we focus on that, and you come up with the mindset, the strategy, all the different pieces that allow you to succeed during that piece. And once you come up with the mindset, the strategies that really work for you, you move on to the next thing, because it's not built around willpower. See, with the diet thing, you're thinking, okay, day one, I'm going to use my willpower to do everything perfectly. And that lasts for a couple of days because your willpower gets depleted. But when we talk about strategies and mindset, we set ourselves up for long-term success. And I will give you an example of what this feels like. Brushing your teeth. That's a strategy and a mindset. It's the strategy that when you were a kid, you're going to say, okay, do this now. And so now you link getting up, going to bed, I brush my teeth. And so you do it pretty much on autopilot. The mindset piece is, yeah, brushing my teeth is really important. I want to keep my teeth healthy and clean. I value my teeth. So both things are there. And now you brush your teeth mostly on autopilot. You're not fighting against yourself to brush your teeth. You're not having to think about it all the time. You're not setting alarms to remind yourself to do it. You just do it on autopilot. And that's what I'm talking about. So when I say my goal for you is not to lose weight, it is to get to your goal weight and then live the rest of your life at your goal weight on near autopilot. We're not built to be consciously in control of everything we're eating all day. We live our lives on autopilot. And so we want to install new strategies, new mindsets, new behaviors that allow us to get to our goal weight and stay there, and that run pretty much on autopilot, like your brushing your teeth habit. I hope that makes sense, and then things change. Yep. Everything comes with mindset. Absolutely. Reading a book called Your Future Self Will Thank You, right? It talks about how willpower is finite. Yeah, exactly, Mrs. Peeps. Willpower is finite. It's a prefrontal cortex process. It's a part of your brain. It's the most energy intensive part of your brain. It's your prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex in hypnosis, we refer to as your conscious mind. It's the part of your mind that strategizes. It's the part of your mind that knows what you should eat, knows what you should do to lose weight, knows why you should lose weight, and tries to get you to do it. That's where your willpower is. But the part that's running most of your behaviors is your subconscious mind, and it runs much differently. So you need to think of your prefrontal cortex and your willpower. It's like a muscle. And they've done tests. I was just talking about this. They did a test where they brought people in and they would have them memorize numbers, different strings of numbers, 3 numbers, 4 numbers, 5 numbers, 6, 7 numbers. And they would have them memorize them. And then they would say, okay, remember this number. And how do we remember numbers? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we keep saying it, focus on it, right? Then they'd make them walk down the hall. And depending on how long the long numbers were, and then sometimes they would have someone like run into them in the hall and like kind of distract them. And then they would offer them like desserts and healthy food at the end. And so the people had to remember more stuff, or they got distracted. They were using all their willpower to remember these long numbers, ate more of the unhealthy food because there's less willpower. And they've done multiple tests like this. So you have to understand that your willpower is like a muscle, and it does get depleted. It recharges, but your willpower starts at the highest point when you wake up in the morning, and it basically depletes all day long, and then you recharge it. Okay. And so when you go on a diet, you're using up all your willpower. It's not just your willpower though. You have to understand it's your prefrontal cortex. So when you go on a diet, you're not only using willpower to force yourself to eat in a new way, you're also using your prefrontal cortex to think about what the fuck you're going to eat, because you're not eating your normal way. You eat on autopilot most of the time. right? You have the same behaviors and routines and things you eat all the time. So as soon as you go on a diet, you're like, oh, okay, what am I gonna eat now? Oh yeah, now I'm gonna have the yogurt. Oh, now I'm gonna have this. Oh, now I'm gonna have that. And so you're planning at a way higher level. I hope this makes sense. This is such a profound idea. I had a client call I was doing yesterday, and she has like a storage thing with a lot of old memorabilia memories from her life, and so just to do that takes a lot of effort, just to kind of go through that stuff. And then B, there's the emotional piece of it, processing feelings, all the rest of it. And she was eating like shit, and she wonders why. Listen, when you're going through emotional, stressful new things, you start a new job, you're moving, you got a new kid, you're having issues in your relationships, this stuff lowers your willpower. It comes from the same muscle. Your willpower, your planning, your logical mind is all your conscious mind. So when you're doing these diets, you're just burning through your willpower. This is why you can get through a day, a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, and then you go, what do? You go right back to your automatic behavior. That's why. And willpower is absolutely finite. Again, it recharges, but it's finite in the day. This is why what most people do is their willpower is up here at the beginning of the day. Their hunger is usually down here. And so what they do is they say, oh, I'm not going to eat breakfast. Oh, I'm not going to eat lunch. And then we get to 2:00 in the afternoon. Now their hunger is up here and their willpower is down here. And now this is where the wheels come off the bus, right? Your eating problem shows up in the afternoon and continues into the evening, right? It's not a mistake. There's a reason for this. So yeah, you can't build your weight loss success around willpower. We use willpower and Program Yourself Thin. We still use willpower, but we're not relying on it exclusively. And let me drive it home one more time. The difference between willpower and mindset is that you think what you're doing to lose weight is you're trying to use willpower to fight against your mindset. Your mindset is you want to eat the shitty food and you don't want to eat healthy food. And you're using your conscious mind to force yourself, using your willpower to force yourself to do that. And you can do that for a little bit and it doesn't last long. And let's compare that to how you think about cigarettes or cocaine. You're not using willpower to fight against cravings for cigarettes all day, right? You're not obsessively thinking about smoking, just saying, no, don't do it. Don't do it. The way you think about cigarettes doesn't create any cravings. So you don't need to use willpower to fight against them. That's the difference of what I'm talking about. That's Program Yourself Thin with food, and dieting is that's obviously what is the result you're getting with dieting, because that's how you're approaching it. It's very ineffective. Aaliyah says those are some great points. Thank you. You're welcome, Aaliyah. I hope they help you out. What's up, Astrid? Hi, Jim. I'm feeling a bit better. I'm glad, Astrid. I'm very glad to hear that. And that's what happens, right? It's only 2 days later. So again, can't wait to dig into that next week. Caitlin says, learning and dealing with my triggers of emotional eating has helped so much. Yeah, Caitlin, that's great. That's what I mean. When, again, the eating, folks, is a symptom of a deeper problem. Okay. I just said it. And so dieting is really just dealing with the symptom. The diets don't want you to lose weight. I got to do this. I'm going to do. The diets are all owned by the food companies, right? Would you go out and buy the McDonald's diet, the Doritos diet, right? If they put a diet out, would you go buy it? I don't think I trust it. But all the diets you're referencing subconscious are owned by the big food companies. Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz. Jenny Craig was owned by Nestle. Atkins Food Products is owned by the same company that owns Carvel, Cinnabon, and Auntie Anne's Pretzels. Slim Fast owned by the same company that owns Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So, and I'm sure the food industry is behind keto because it's a stupid diet. So how could it be so popular? But so they don't want you to deal with the core issues. They don't want you to be thin and healthy. They want you to do some stupid diet for a little while, feel like a failure, and go back to eating the way you always do. And so they fill your head with rocks when you go to diet and you're just confused. You don't know what to do. So again, when we go to the core issues, it's a whole different story. It changes everything. I'm telling you, oh man, I'm so hyped. This motivation training I'm putting together, it is, I don't know what's up. I've taught this forever. I think it's because I'm making it so short. And again, you can get this if you go to my bio or you go to Program Yourself Thin and you get the free hypnosis session I give you. It's called the New Thin Me. I give you that. It's a 10-minute kickstart session, really powerful. Then I made a video for 3 steps to master your weight. You can watch that. That's really good too. But then I got this motivation training coming, and I don't know. Yeah, it's just dawning. It's really just, it's crystallizing a lot of things that I talk about, and it'll be about 15 minutes. And so it just changes the whole game. And it's exactly what you're saying. Because if we just think like we're just trying to stop ourselves from emotional eating, well, there's a deeper reason why you're doing it. And until you figure out that deeper reason, you're always going to have to fight against emotional eating. And so this is what you've conditioned to do. You've conditioned to look at your weight and your eating this way, and it's inadequate. So that's great. Great, Caitlin. Your lives and emails help so much with this as well. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad. That's what they're there for. So again, folks, that's all free. So again, I'm doing everything I can here. No one gives you more free stuff than I do. Amber says there's a food addiction diagnostic test based off of DSM. Addiction requires a specific treatment. Food addiction is much harder to kick than any other addiction. I agree with that, Amber. I regularly say that food addiction is the outlier in all the addictions because all the other addictions, the abstinence model is the way to go, but you can't abstain from food. So I believe that food is unique because it has to be a managed addiction. And this puts us into weird territory because who's talking about managed addiction? Because all addiction thinking is abstinence. And so you can try your Bright Lines or your Overeaters Anonymous. Let me know how that goes. I think you're going to find it doesn't go well. It doesn't go well for most people because they don't want to live a life of never eating sugar or flour or, foods they enjoy ever again. So, again, I'm not an addiction specialist. I'm first to say that. But I have spent my life really, but certainly the last 20 years professionally, I've done over 6,000 private weight loss sessions almost at this point. And I think that there's this idea of managing it because these foods are addictive. I think the solution to it, personally, I'll tell you what I think the answer is I think you take the addictive substances, sugar, flour, processed food, and you compress when you eat it. And I think if you compress and are able to compress when you eat it, that starts to be able to give you control over it. And if you're gonna tell me, oh, no, that's not how addiction works. Yeah. Well, what do we do then? What do we do? And so it's like, someone let me know a better solution. I'm all for it. I'm always open. I am not dogmatic. I am happy to change what I say in a second if I find something better. But I have not found a good strategy. That's something in the program we've been talking about is the eating blueprint that's in the program. And I'm like, holy shit, this is a profound, it kind of sit here, just toot my own horn, but it is so profound to me. And I think, I don't know, sometimes, I don't want to give myself a big head here, but this is what I've been doing for a long time. And I think sometimes when people come at things from a different angle, it reveals a lot of good stuff. I think a lot of science goes at and says, why is this happening? Why is there an obesity epidemic? And my question has always been, how do you live as a thin and healthy person? It's a question that a lot of people are not asking, to be honest. They're always trying to diagnose what the problem is, but it doesn't tell you, well, how do I fix it? And so I think that it's true. I mean, food is certainly addictive. And even the food addiction diagnostic test, it's relative to what food you're eating, so you can take that Yale test, go ahead and score a big score on it. But the question to me is that your addiction to food, I think addiction like this is with everything, but I don't know. I get into the weeds with addiction because even with addiction, and I know this triggers people, but I don't know how anyone can argue with this, that addiction is the only disease that it's one of the only diseases you can cure yourself of by making a decision. And I'm saying that, and I know, because how do we explain this? I know this, I'm going to get off this real quick, but we have hardcore drug addicts, alcoholics, food addicts, whatever addiction that there is. And we say, okay, well, their brain's broken, right? They're genetically this way, that they have trauma, their brain's broken, whatever the reasons we say, that's why it is. But at the same time, all the people that stop being addicts, right? Every year, there's people that stop doing drugs forever, that were absolutely lost in a hole. So everyone that's a hardcore addict, there's also the other side of it, people that stop being hardcore addicts, same brain, same traumas, same all the rest of it. So I'm always focused on the people that have successfully, and maybe they're the outliers, okay? But how have those people done it? And I think that's where what I'm doing is different than a lot of things you're getting, is that I think everyone's telling you what you should do, what to do. And I think very few people are showing you how to actually get yourself to do it. And so even with any kind of addiction you throw at me, what I will do is I will look at the people that have successfully been able to step out of it. How have they done it? And I think there's some patterns there of things you notice. Certainly there's a mindset piece, and there's just a lot of strategies they use. Does it guarantee success? I don't think so, but it makes it much more likely. So anyways, food addiction is much harder to kick than any other addiction. And I do get that. But again, I don't think you kick the addiction. I think you manage it. So I think that's the secret. Mimi says, I'm addicted to sweets. It does mess with your mind. Sugar is deadly. It's a poison. Yeah, again, and I mean, I'm not going to argue with you. If you believe you're addicted to sweets, I'm not going to argue that with you. But again, so you either have to manage your addiction. What are you going to do? Again, here's what I will get down to. What I find the biggest challenge most people have with their weight, because almost everyone I work with, and I'm going to assume almost everyone here on these lives is an overthinker / perfectionist, because no one else listens to me. People that aren't overthinkers don't listen to me. I'm talking too fast. I'm talking all over the place. So if you're probably an overthinker, perfectionist, and the big mental trap I find with perfectionists is that they're unintentionally and ironically, they're fixated on the problem, because you're trying to analyze and understand, why am I addicted to sweets? Why do I keep doing this? Why am I addicted? Why can't I stop eating sweets? Why do I keep screwing up? Why does this happen? And you're so obsessed with that question because you think you're someday going to get to this magical breakthrough and everything's going to change instantly. I don't think so. And so I would rather ask the question, how can I manage these sweets? How can I manage my addiction to sweets, if that's how you want to frame it? How can I manage this so I can be healthier? And so I want to focus on the solution. And I find most overthinker perfectionists are really obsessed with the problems and trying to diagnose it, which just creates more and more and more of it. So I think articulating this whole thing in terms of what's the solution for me, I think is the starting point to genuinely resolving it. So John says, my simple test for addiction is if it lands me in jail, the ER, or I lose my job, I abstain. Fair enough, John, right? All else I learned to manage. Yeah, and John's another, right? So yeah, John has a struggle with alcohol. And so again, I am obsessed with people that have successfully been able to create the change. And that's what I'm focused on. Program yourself thin. And everything I'm talking about here started by speaking with people that had lost weight and kept it off long-term. Because there's always science that's going to make you feel absolutely powerless. When it comes to weight loss, the science that's going to make you feel powerless is, well, they studied the biggest losers, and a year later, their leptin hormone levels are low, and they're not, they're not uptaking them as much, and so they're always hungry. Okay, so now that makes you think like, oh yeah, we have a biological thing. When we lose weight, we just always hungry, and we're going to put the weight back on no matter what. If someone wrote that to me on a social media thing, I said, well, how do you explain to people that lose weight and keep it off? I never got a response. So I'm not even saying that that's not true, but how do we square that? What's that mean? What does that mean to you? That what's the point? I can't lose weight because I'm always going to be hungry and I'm always going to put it back on. Because if that's what you believe, that's a powerless belief. And how does that square with people that lose weight and keep it off? Obese people that lose weight and keep it off. It happens. And when you talk to them, what you'll typically figure out is they had a different mental strategy, they had a lifestyle strategy, eating strategies that you had no fucking clue of. So, again, I think I'm fascinated by this whole concept because I think of like even scientific studies, I think of everything as a hypnotic suggestion. And if it doesn't support me, I don't want to believe it. Yeah, but that's what the science says. And I believe in science. I just want to make that crystal clear. I know we live in a world, I believe in science. Okay. But I also, when I get a suggestion that's not going to support me and help me, I don't know. I don't know if I want to believe that. So anyways, I believe that too. Dorn says it takes a lot of awareness and mental fortitude to be okay with daily scale fluctuations. With your advice, I am now able to do it so much better than before. Great job, Dorn. And I think that, yes, it took a lot of awareness and mental fortitude in the beginning, but I bet you're going to find that it's easier now. That's what I'm saying. What I'm trying to tell you folks is with the dieting, it's the fucking craziest strategy in the world. There's nothing else in the world that you just jump into 100%. It's so silly. Again, the example I always use is like, you want to play the piano, you want to get good fast. So you say, I'm going to play 10 hours a day. And you play your first day 10 hours. You wake up the next day, your fingers are crippled up. You hate the piano and you can't get yourself to play anymore. That's metaphorically what you're doing with the weight loss. And so we need to approach weight the same way we do everything else in our life that we are good at, which is slowly and strategically built for the long term. And so even stepping on the scale, I know it's terrifying in the beginning. I know it's all this stuff, but now, Dorn, you have worked through so much emotional stuff just by doing that, and it becomes easier. That's the thing a dieter doesn't recognize, because they try and take everything all on at once, and they're trying to consciously change everything through willpower, that they don't realize that if you systematically work on things, you start to automate them. I will give you the example of what I'm talking about that you can really understand it with. I have had a shoulder issue in my shoulder for 4 years, and I know 100% it's because I use a computer mouse 8, 9, 10 hours a day. And the way I sit, and I'm a yoga instructor, okay? So it's like I work as much as I can to relax, calm down, straighten out my shoulder, all the rest of it, and I still get it. So my shoulder freezes up, and it pinches a nerve in here, and it causes this problem for 4 years. Now, I knew what the solution was a long time ago, but I just didn't do it. Why? Because I didn't want to do it. What's the solution? Use my left hand with the mouse. Why didn't I want to do it? I don't know how to do it. It's uncomfortable. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. The reason weight loss is so hard for you is not just because you're missing your favorite foods. It's more hard for you because you don't have any neural wiring for eating in that new way. You don't know how to think, live, and eat like a thin and healthy person. There's no wiring there for it. Again, if I ask you, what's the Chinese word for slipper? You know that feeling you're having of just there's nothing there, right? You can't even guess. That's the same feeling you have when I ask you, how does it feel to think, live, and eat like a thin and healthy person? It's just not there. And so I logically know how to use a computer mouse with my left hand because I know how to use one with my right hand, but I don't actually know how to do it. Just like you know how to write with your one hand, you can do it. You can't do it with the other one. So logical knowledge is not subconscious behavioral knowledge. And so now here I am working on my left hand, and it's like, again, I'm starting to automate it. That's what I want for you. See, that automated piece is what's absolutely been missing from your strategy. You never even imagine that. You interpret weight loss as a forever fight against yourself. And what I'm telling you is that you can go about this completely different, where you're training yourself to think, live, and eat differently on autopilot. So it becomes easier. And we do it strategically, one thing at a time. But this comes back to the saying, most people overestimate how much weight they can lose in a month and underestimate how much weight they can lose in a year. When you become strategic with it, it's amazing how much you can accomplish in a year because you're working on automating things that just flow. You as a dieter just think you have to 100% be focused, motivated. I'm going to track it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And they're only going to be able to do that for a little while because we live our lives on autopilot. I hope that makes sense. I hope it does, Amber says, John, it can and does. It's a brain disease recognized by ASAM. But even a brain disease, how do we explain how do addicts with a brain disease become not addicts anymore? That's what I want to hear. Because when I hear these diagnostic tools from psychology, I hear lots of diagnoses. It's very hard. I work with food addicts. And I'm sure you do. And I get it. Like, nope, there is no cure. It's treatment and management. Yeah. I mean, you got to manage it. Right. I get it though. I know what you're saying. Cause I know, like, I don't work with those people. Like, I don't work with eating disorders, either side of the scale. I work with people in the middle that don't have that level of it. So I'm the first to admit that. And if people come to me with those, that's not what I do. So I think Amber is obviously in the mental health field working with real outlier situations. So yeah, what I'm saying really isn't even relevant to that. Some things might apply to it, but I get it. It's like a whole different world. So I'm not dealing with people on that level of things. What are your thoughts on artificial sweeteners when it comes to health and weight? I think I would avoid them like the plague. I don't want anything to do with artificial sweeteners primarily. And I will tell you why. And this is a slightly different angle to come at it with that I don't think you'll be able to disagree with. But artificial sweeteners, to me, the biggest problem is that it calibrates your taste buds to want unnaturally sweet flavors. And that's a problem because if you go and have your artificial sweetener, which is super duper sweet, unnaturally so, then you go and eat an apple or a banana or something natural, it's going to taste really boring and bland. So that artificial sweetener totally throws calibrates your taste buds out of whack. And now you're going to crave unnatural sweetness. Everything's going to seem boring and bland. It's like you're going from hyper color to black and white, and your brain's always going to want the more exciting thing. So I really don't like to eat much processed foods, artificial. I don't want to eat that stuff because all of those foods are designed to make you overeat. So why would I want to do that? It's like, I don't want to do that. So the artificial sweeteners, where I go with it, well, what am I going to do if it's sweet? Well, I don't want to, like, again, so I'm programming myself in, we have 5 clean days, 2 pleasure days is kind of how we generally structure it. It doesn't have to be exactly those numbers, but that's the general philosophy. But so 5 clean days, I don't want to eat. I'm really looking to reduce my sugar as little as possible, reduce my flour as low as possible, clean as healthy meals as possible. And so I don't want to eat a lot of sugar during the day during those 5 days, because if I'm eating sugar those times, it makes everything else harder. So it's the same thing with artificial sweeteners. If I'm consistently eating artificial sweetener those 5 days, it's way harder to eat clean. So that's what I think about that. I think artificial sweeteners lead to weight gain because of that reason. So we could, there's other reasons I think too, but I'll let those go. And it doesn't have to. I mean, I'm sure you can find studies where artificial sweeteners, people lost weight. Yeah, fine. But I don't give a shit about just losing weight. I really frame this as taking your weight loss, wrap it in personal development. This is about becoming the best version of you possible. And so I want you to nourish yourself as well. I don't want you to just eat the same, just restrict the calories and lose weight. I want you to start nourishing yourself so you start feeling good, start feeling amazing. And I don't think artificial sweeteners support that goal. Chose veggie soup for lunch today, and it's delicious. Great job, Jackie. That's awesome. It's great when we make healthy choices and it tastes good, right? Nothing better than that. Sue says, stop juice, Coke, specifically any diet food need to be out of water and starting point of no diet food. Lost 30 pounds. Great job. That's a great strategy. Miss Peeps says, I stopped drinking and gained 30 pounds, traded one addiction for another, trying to figure it out. Yeah, Miss Peeps, that's the classic, right? The addiction trades. So, again, that's what I'm trying to say, though. Like, again, these are symptoms, right? The alcohol's a symptom of a deeper problem. The eating's a symptom of a deeper problem. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably emotional, but I think you're still better off. I'd take 30 pounds over the alcohol. Like if you were drinking a lot, I would make that trade because I think you're in a more balanced mental, emotional state now to be able to take on the food. But that's the process now is to now you can begin thinking and now you have a clear idea of it because when we do trade addictions, well, I think you traded it for something better. But the other side is that once we trade addictions, it also helps us become more aware of what the underlying problem is. Okay. Because the surface behavior shifted, but now it helps us kind of clarify what's the underlying thing. It's probably something emotional. Maybe you're bored, stressed, frustrated. It's got a pattern to it. And so if you can start to understand that and fix that part of it, you probably get the food piece down. But great job making a change anyways. I think any changes are good. Not any changes, but I think that's a good change. Clean pantry of junk food if you can't. Fine, don't run, but wait till next time. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Sue. Yeah, get the really tempting, unhealthy foods out of your house. I mean, I think we know that, but make sure. And if they're in your house, put them in the cupboards. Don't be looking at them. Visual cues have a huge impact on our behavior. So watch out for that. Sandra, do you have snacks between your meals? My goal is to not snack between meals, but I want to make clear about something. So when I say I don't want to snack, I eat on my clean days, I have breakfast, lunch, dinner. And my goal is to not snack between my meals, but I'm not looking to like be hungry and just force not snack. I'm looking to optimize my meals so that I'm not hungry in between them and I don't want to snack. That being said, there's other factors. So I eat a very similar diet and I'm pretty comfortable most of the time between them, but I have a shitty night of sleep. I'm stressed out. I'm upset. I'm depressed. Emotionally, that can trigger hunger too. And so if I ever feel like, oh, I really want to snack, my first line of defense is I'll have usually like banana, apple, something again, natural and whole. And then if I go beyond that occasionally, but not very often. And so sometimes I'll snack on other stuff, but very rarely. So that's kind of how I think about snacks. I don't really want to snack. But if I do, I have some other plans for it. But I strategize. So I rarely snack because, again, I strategize it. What's up, Don? Pleasure day. That's right. I haven't had artificial BS in 7 months, losing weight still. Yeah, that's great, Don. Yeah, the artificial stuff, it's just, this is, if you're thinking about artificial, this book, I've been showing you guys that this book is so overdue. I want to do a video on it. I'm like, man, I got to do this. But anyways, so ultra processed people, if you have questions or are thinking about artificial ingredients at all, and then the Dorito effect as well. So I love this book and I really, really, really like this book, but I love this book. But they're both great. So I would recommend either one of these. And I think it'll start to reframe how you think about artificial foods in a helpful way. How should you get in 10K a day? Well, first off, you don't need to do 10K steps a day. That's kind of an arbitrary number. And so I think you should, the first thing you should do, I am a huge fan of tracking your steps. So at this point, we all got a phone that can track our steps pretty good. So I think the first step is just tracking it and being aware of where we're at. And so if you track it for a couple of days and you're like, oh, okay, I'm at 3,000. I think the first thing you might want to do is shoot for 5,000. Then when you shoot to 5,000, then we get 7,000. I think the number is 7,000 anyways. Like we want to be over 7,000, but there's no magic between 7 and 10,000. So I just say this to you because I know 10,000, that's in our head now. But again, I like to start with where I'm at and then slowly build up on it. If you want to do 10,000 steps, again, I mean, you do it in the way that's most comfortable for you. There's a million ways to do it. But I will say is like, how should you get them in? Just whatever works best for you. So like I'm coming around. I eased off my 10,000 steps, and I have a 10,000 subsidiary saying I'll give you straight about 10,000 steps, but I like it, but I worked up to it too. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my norm. So I just want to make that clear that if you're starting at 3,000, I wouldn't shoot for 10,000 right away. It's overwhelming. We want to set ourselves up for long-term success. That being said, I've been working on this for 2 years. So I now have strategies to get myself up to 10,000 a day, 8 months out of the year. Okay. Because when it's winter, it starts snowing, it's icy out. I have very little motivation to do it. I just let it go. So anyways, that being said, it's starting to become better weather and I'm starting to go back to my strategies. So what are my strategies? For me, I will make sure I get up early enough to take my dog for a walk. That's I'll start my day with 3,500, 4,000 steps right there. Then I'll kind of do stuff and maybe I'll take a short walk in the afternoon. And then I'll make sure that I go play basketball in the evening. So that's a strategy I know is going to get me to 10,000. But you see what I mean? So it's like, you're not going to do that probably. So it's about kind of paying attention to, oh, that activity is 3,000. Okay, I can do that here. So it's about knowing like what gives you what amount of steps and then kind of strategizing when you're going to do it, getting specific with it. So that's something we can that's the structure of it. Now you're not going to do what I'm doing because I'm me, but you figure out what works for you. Right? Midi Dave says, should you cut out all carbs? I don't think so. I think it's a weird thing to cut out all carbs. And I don't understand how this is even a popular approach to weight loss. So, I really don't. I don't know who the fuck came up with this. Because what are they referencing? What are we referencing when we cut out all carbs? What society in history are we looking at and saying, oh yeah, they were the healthiest society. They had no carbs. Let's follow them. Who? Please answer this. Cause I know there's some keto people in here. I know there's some keto experts. Please let me know what society in history are you looking at and modeling to cut out all carbs? And you can't just pick Eskimos 3 months a year because that's all they got is whale blubber. Right? You let me know what society lives carb free, and we'll go there. So I don't understand the idea of cutting out carbs. I don't believe in that philosophy. I think refined carbs like flour, you know what I mean? Like I think there's a good case to cut those things out. But yeah, to cut out carbs, I think as soon as you start with your diet starts to be like, I don't know if I should eat fruits and vegetables anymore as there's carbs in them. I think you really got to take a step back and wonder what you're doing. I really believe that. And I think the whole keto thing is a great example of how we can believe anything. Because it's weird. I don't know what precedence there is to cut out carbs in a diet forever. And again, you have to educate me. If you have that answer, please let me know. I'm genuinely asking. I want to know. So yeah, I wouldn't cut out all carbs. I don't understand the point of that. How can you motivate yourself to go to the gym more? That's a good question. I think the way you motivate yourself to go to the gym more is you make it easier. You give yourself some alternative plans. I don't think like going to the gym and have your hour workout as the only option is a good one. I think maybe you break it down. You're like, I can go to the gym and I got a half-hour workout routine I do too. And then on top of that, I don't think the gym is the only thing. I would also say I want to have a home workout as well. That's 15 minutes for when I just don't have the time. So again, I think consistency over intensity. I think consistency is more valuable than intensity. And I think that ironically also leads to you going to the gym more too, though. Because I think what stops you from going to the gym is that, okay, I'm going to start going to the gym. You go every, 4 days, you go for an hour every day, and then you never go for 3 months. So I think when you start moving active, being more gym-like workouts and exercises at the gym and at home, and you just overall become a more active person, I think that's the way I would go about it. Can you show the books again, please? Yes. The Dorito Effect. Again, I think this is a super great book. Dorito Effect. And the other one is Ultra Processed People. Another great book. Really good. Right. What do you do if you have a bad sweet tooth? Yeah, I get that. I mean, the sweet tooth, I think you systematically start to reduce the sugar consumption. I think that's the secret. This is why I do, I do like 5 clean days. We have clean days and pleasure days. It doesn't have to be 5 and 2. You could start off, it's a philosophy. So if you have a bad sweet tooth, you could start off like, I just want to go 1 day with no sweets. I just want to see what that feels like. And that would be my initial goal. And then now you've done it and you're like, holy shit, I feel better. That wasn't that hard. Okay, that was good. Then you can eat sweets. And so next week I'm gonna do it another day. And you can start to build on that. So I think that's a good strategy. And there's a lot of mindset stuff as well you can do, but this isn't the place to go and all that. No artificial food, nothing. Yep. What's the best way to measuring my progress in losing fat? Not the scale, right? Yeah, I mean, I like the scale, but I know like people have different goals. So it's like, if you just want to lose weight, it's really fat loss is what we're looking for. But weight loss is the typical weight loss, like we're not lifting weights and building muscle, you're going to lose fat and you're going to lose muscle. If you're looking for recomposition, you're looking to simultaneously build muscle while you lose fat. Yeah, your weight's not going to change as much. But your body composition is going to change, which is probably what I guess people are looking for different things. So yeah, the best way of measuring your progress with losing fat, body fat tests would be the best way for that. Although there's scales now that measure that. I don't know how accurate they are, but that's another way to do it. So there are like body fat percentage scales. And again, I'm not sure exactly how accurate they are, but you could do it that way. You give the most realistic advice, no BS. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I like to pride myself on, is that I can be honest with you guys. Neely says maybe meaning just the bad carbs. Yeah, but listen, if folks are going to mean the bad carbs, and say the bad carbs, because I have seen plenty of keto and paleo people start questioning whether they should eat vegetables and fruits and not wanting to eat them. And I think that, again, we can believe anything. Humans can believe anything. So yeah, I would agree that, yeah, if you cut down bad carbs. Now listen, even if you cut down bad carbs, go ahead and cut them down, but I don't think you're going to get rid of them completely. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. So, yeah, as Heather says, with current science, we have nothing accurate. Everything is just an estimate. Even if you paid a lot of money to go in a special machine, even that isn't completely accurate. Yeah, I forget what they call that thing. The thing like you float in the tank in the water, and they're able to tell that. Yeah, use a body fat machine or calipers and look for trends. Just log it over and over. Yeah, again, that's it. I don't like. I know people get so obsessed with that stuff, and I think it's a double-edged sword. I think, but yeah. Dance won't work if you don't go to the gym. Yeah, agreed. I think that's a great strategy. I think having an abundance of strategies where you just feel like, again, most people are all or nothing. So it's like working on intensely, that's the only thing that counts. And anything less than that doesn't feel like it counts. But I think once you loosen up on that and you start to realize you can have a plan A, B, and C, you can be much more consistent. And that's what's going to give you the results you're truly looking for. All right. Yeah. So, what do we got? Dead since 94. I bought an e-bike to be more active. Gonna explore all the trails in Seattle. That's super. And I love that because, again, I think holistically. And so a lot of times I will talk about the lifestyle habits and I have movement in there. And part of movement is exercising, but part of movement is walking, riding a bike, doing more low impact, less calorie burning things. Because even if you just start walking, it's not going to burn the same amount of calories as a stair stepper maybe, but there's all sorts of other collateral benefits of it, where you get outside, you're breathing fresh air, you're getting into a different environment, you feel healthier, you're breathing more. It's just that there's a lot of things that are going to support healthier eating choices and lifestyle choices. So I never just think in terms of like, how many calories am I burning? I just think that fixation on calories is it's counterintuitively, it can sabotage you. I think. So it's part of the puzzle. I think calories are important in their place, but I think people just get, it's the whole story. So I think that's great. I think an e-bike's wonderful. Being more active is wonderful. Exploring new trails is interesting. All of those things in my mind are going to support you being healthier. So I think that's wonderful. Thoughts about the master cleanse for losing weight. I can talk about this because I have done this and I think it's goofy to the extreme. Goofier than keto. And I don't say that lightly because I think keto is really goofy. But I think the master cleanse for losing weight is literally the pinnacle of goofiness in my mind for losing weight. Because what happens after the master cleanse? What's the opposite of cleanse? Yeah, nothing good. The opposite of cleanse. Besmirch. I didn't know that. Spoil, dirty. Yeah, because we usually follow the master cleanse by the master. That's not a good word, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. I've done the master cleanse, and again, even if you do the master cleanse, do it for a week. Who gives a shit? Who cares? Do it for a fucking month. Who cares? You're gonna lose weight, and then what are you gonna do? What happens as soon as the day after the master cleanse ends? What happens to your weight? And I don't know. I would say like I don't know about you, but I think you all have like lost weight and put it back on. How does it feel when the weight starts going up? How does it feel during the master cleanse when you're so excited that you're losing weight and then you know it's got to end? It's just like you're. I always joke like dieters are always like building their house from the roof down. You know, like I'm gonna stop eating for a week. Well, what happens the week after? You know, I don't care. I'm gonna lose weight for a week. Yeah, and then you're gonna put it back on, and you're gonna be so pissed that you put it back on. What's gonna happen the third week? It's we can zoom our focus in so completely that we just miss the big picture. So I think the master cleanse doesn't make any sense for long-term weight loss. Now, if you got to lose a lot of weight this week for some reason, and that's your goal, then I think master cleanse is great. But if you want to lose weight and keep it off, I think it's silly. Tree Donum says, my husband and I don't super work out at the gym. We are very consistent though. We do out 10 minutes on the ellipticals and then do some weights. It feels really good. Yeah, exactly. I like to think of exercising more in that way for the average person, you know, and again, this goes into the whole problem. It's an Instagram issue. It's like, you see these people with 0% body fat jacked up and it's, I want to be like that. Well, maybe you want to be like that, but do you really have the desire to work out and live like that? You probably don't. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to recognize that because there's nothing worse than having a goal, to have a goal that you're not willing to do the work to achieve. But that's what the goal I want, but I'm not willing to do it. But that's what I want to do. It's just such a weird way of living. And so I think Tree Dunham, I think that's right on the money what you're doing. I think that'll support your weight loss more than working out hard for a week and then never working out again until the next year, you know. Take on fasting. I mean, intermittent fasting, I guess, is fine, you know, if you're comfortable and it feels all right. But again, I guess in a nutshell, what I'm basing everything against long term. So if you love fasting and it resonates with you and you feel amazing, you know, you look forward to it, you love doing it, you feel great afterwards, then fasting's probably a great strategy for you. If you hate fasting and you dread it and you're thinking about it the whole time as it's approaching, and then you're doing it and you're miserable the whole time, and then afterwards you're just always hungry because you were fasting, then I'd say it's not a very good strategy. So again, it doesn't matter what I say. I'm me, you're you. You need to figure out what works for you. And there's 8 billion people on the planet. So some people love fasting and most people hate it. But if you're one of the outliers that loves fasting, then integrate it as part of your philosophy and strategy, you know? But if you hate it, stop trying to force yourself to do things you hate doing. Again, that's one of my core messages is I find a lot of people, the weight loss, they're trying to fit square pegs into round holes. And that's their whole process. You're trying to force yourself to do something you don't like doing, and it doesn't work. And if you took that energy and put it into figuring out what works for you, then you can move forward and you'd be in a much different place. If you think about the first diet you started all those decades ago, and you started with this idea that I'm going to figure out what works for me and is comfortable for me, you'd be in a completely different spot right now. You know, what's your opinion on Ozempic? It is what it is. It's a Band-Aid to a deeper problem. It's a seemingly an effective Band-Aid, you know, in terms of it'll help you lose weight because it makes you feel kind of nauseous when it works and you don't want to eat much. And so some people are so desperate to lose weight that that's amazing for them. Okay. You know, it doesn't change any other things that I talk about. It's not really a strategy. It's more of a Band-Aid, you know, but if you're willing to do that, use that Band-Aid for the rest of your life, it might be a great strategy as long as nothing any side effects end up coming up from it. So, but that being said, in my world, I work with a lot of perfectionists. And so I can tell you what perfectionists think of Ozempic if you want to know, which you're probably all perfectionists listening here. But if you're a perfectionist using Ozempic, you're going to be tortured by it because it's always going to bother you that you haven't really figured this out. And you may lose the weight, but you're going to be have this gnawing frustration that you haven't been able to master it on your own. So, and you have this crutch. So, and it's not the real solution you want anyways. But if just weight loss is what you want, whatever. But, we'll see. So I try to be supportive because I don't give a shit. However anyone wants to do it, let them do it. So it's not, if I said, oh, Ozempic's great or Ozempic's terrible, if you love it and you're loving it, then I don't listen to me. And I mean that genuinely. You're living your life. Do what you want to do. So it's up for you to decide. It's not the path that I would start on, but who gives a shit? I'm me, just love walking outside. Hate walking in the treadmill. Yeah, me too, Caitlin. I do not like gym exercising very much. I'm working on, that's one of my next goals is I do want to start doing resistance training. And so that's one of the next things. And my shoulder, I think I'm really, now that I'm starting to use the left-hand mouse, I just started this week. Like I feel, this is a funny part of change, I will tell you, is the regret over being a stupid asshole. I feel like I talk about this all day. I talk about like you left hand, right hand computer. I talk about this all the time. And it's like I waited 3 years to use the mouse with my left hand because I just didn't want to go through the tiny little bit of pain of learning how to use it consistently. And I'm so mad at myself for that. But I've done it now. And so I'm really, really excited about seeing what effect this has on my shoulder. Because my shoulder, I was doing some resistance stuff pretty well. I was doing like simple stuff like push-ups, body weight stuff. And it was probably about 4 years ago. And it was literally, it was New Year's Eve. I remember this. And I was doing push-ups and all of a sudden I had like this lightning bolt go down my arm. It hit a nerve or something. I was like, oh man, ever since then, it's been an issue. And so I'm hoping it would be a miracle to me, like on the miracle level of things, that if this different posture, I'm going to give it a couple weeks, couple months. And I'm hoping this gets better. And if this gets better, the working out thing, I'm really looking forward to now. And it's not for weight loss. It's for strength and stuff. So anyways, yes, OPS. What's that say? OPSOS Ozempics? I don't know what that means. Yeah, pig out after the cleanse, right? Yeah, exactly. So if you pig out after the cleanse, like, what are we doing? I don't know. That's what I used to do. Like I said, I stopped doing cleanses and I stopped doing being a raw foodist because I realized those things made me absolutely obsessed with food in an unhealthy way. And so by doing extreme things, I learned the value of being more moderate, I would say. Don says, celebrating 15 and an 8-point down from 9-1. Celebrate every ounce, people, and eat what you love. That's so great, Don. Yeah. 16 pounds since September is amazing in her situation. So she's going to start off, she'd lost some weight before that, I believe, not too overweight. So that's wonderful. Kevin says, okay, thank you for your insight. You're welcome. Summer says, whenever I eat, I never feel full until 10, 15 minutes after. So I'm not sure how much I'm meant to eat. Oh, great point, Summer. Yeah, figuring out hunger and what's satisfying is a tricky thing, I would say. It takes a lot of trial and error to kind of figure out, especially because you're starting from kind of scratch. Most dieters especially have no real intuition of when they've eaten enough food because you spend a lifetime dieting, disassociating from your hunger signals. So yeah, the 10 to 15 minutes thing I think is very real. So eating slower is definitely helpful. What you're eating has a huge impact on that. Again, the more natural foods you eat, the longer it takes to eat. One of the big problems with overeating, there's a lot of things that go into it, but one of the reasons you're consuming a lot more calories is because you're eating processed foods that are easier to chew. And so you can eat quicker. You think you're a fast eater? Well, go get a salad. Go eat one of my salads. It's a giant salad with big chunks of carrots in it and onions and tomatoes and all this natural food. You'll find that you're not that fast of an eater. You're a fast eater when you can eat pre-digested food, which is what processed food is. You like that one? I like that one. And I could do a lesson on that. It's very true. Whoops. Yeah, pre-digested food. It literally is, not literally, but figuratively, but kind of literally. Pre-digested in the sense that they strip all the fiber out of the food you're eating when it's processed. And so you're able to chew it and swallow it real fast. And your body loves that because it's a way to get calories in quick. Your body loves calories. So yeah, the more processed food you're eating, the faster you're going to eat, the more calories you're going to consume quickly. And so by the time the 10, 15 minutes goes by, you've already blown past your fullness point, but you don't realize it. So Yeah, getting used to that. Again, slowing down your eating more natural foods, calming down and relaxing before you eat. There's a lot of strategy you can use to do that, but it's a process. So again, I couldn't just tell you anything. It's something you kind of interface with and figure out. It's comparable to people getting a gastric sleeve, isn't it? In terms of a Band-Aid. Yeah. I would say that's true. And I think it's similar to that. Cause and even when you start looking at gastric sleeves and bypasses, when you really look at that, because you just, oh, okay, they're going to cut their food down. They do. Everyone loses weight initially, and then a lot of people put the weight back on. And it's amazing because you have to be very strategic. You have to have a really broken mindset to put weight back on when your stomach's this big. But people do it all the time. So again, the Ozempic's the same thing. And people know that. They're like, the second I come off of this, it just stops. And you're screwed because you have no strategies. I have people in my program that are Ozempic, and they're using that as a crutch while they learn strategies because they don't feel good. They don't want to, because then it's expensive as shit right now. Maybe they'll make it cheaper. I don't know. So yeah, anyways, it's a Band-Aid. 10 from the goal. Great job, Don. Suggestions on cravings. Oh, just mention the sleeve because it seems to be a bit more socially acceptable than Ozempic. Oh, that is interesting. I would have thought Ozempic is more socially acceptable. I feel like people are all over that. And I don't know. Yeah, it just depends what your goals are. I mean, if all you care about is weight loss, I don't know. I have bigger goals than that, but whatever. That's interesting though. I never really thought of the sleeve being more acceptable than the Ozempic. Suggestions on cravings. Yeah, cravings. I mean, you have to get more specific. Okay. So you can't just have unhealthy cravings. Your cravings run in patterns. You're not randomly throughout the day and night eating just unhealthy things. You have very specific patterns, most likely, of when you're craving and then eating those foods. So again, the most important thing is that I think the cravings, you need to structure your eating, I think is the most important thing, because that helps you to understand what your cravings are. You need to stabilize your eating. You need to have some stable foundation that you're building this all on. And most people don't. Most dieters are trying to not eat breakfast to cut calories down. They're trying not to eat as little as lunch to cut calories down. Now they're starving. Now they're craving everything. And they're like, oh my God, why am I craving so much food in the afternoon? Well, because you didn't eat anything and nourish yourself in the morning. That's just one example of a lot of kind of things people are doing to trigger the cravings. So again, what I will suggest, I got to get out of here, but go to my bio, click the link and get the hypnosis session. It's free, but then watch the video I made. And I talk about the cravings in a lot more detail. So I would definitely check that out. Just being honest is that Ozempic helps with my cravings. Food can be like an addiction, like drugs. Cravings to use food as a coping mechanism. Food can be an addiction, just like drugs and alcohol. Yeah, definitely. But again, the solution's the same though. Do you know what I mean? So it's like and again, I'm here to be supportive. So take this as support. If we want to go down the path that food can be just like drugs and alcohol, that's fine. But how do we, in recovery of drugs and alcohol, what do we do? Right? They used to have a pill. They used to have a pill that you could take, and then if you drank, you'd get violently sick. It was almost like the alcohol Ozempic in a different way, though. But it didn't work. They would still drink. So it's different than Ozempic. But the point being that if you want to recover from alcohol or drug addiction, you don't just take a pill that all of a sudden numbs those things. As a matter of fact, they refer to that in the alcoholic world. Someone who just stops drinking, they refer to them as a dry drunk because they never dealt with the core issues that made them alcoholic in the first place. And so I think the Ozempic's creating a lot of dry dieters. And so, yeah, it's numbing, it's quieting those things down so that they're able to not reach for the food. But if, as you said, cravings to use food as a coping mechanism, the question becomes, what are you using as a coping mechanism now? A coping mechanism for what? That's the big question. Oh, my emotions. Well, what emotions? I feel depressed. Okay. So if now you're not using the food to deal with your depression, what are you doing to deal with it? And so that's what I worry about with Ozempic is that it just numbs you out. It's like that with the antidepressants. People go on those and I feel numb. I don't feel anything. And they don't want to live that way. And so, was it a solution? I mean, for some people it is. Like I'm talking in vague, big ass generalities here, but Yeah, if food can be an addiction like drugs or alcohol, then we know what the solution to drugs and alcohol is that you need to figure out what your triggers are. You need to manage better. You need to create better coping mechanisms, learn how to deal with the core issue. And so I don't think that's the line with Ozempic. I think Ozempic is like, oh, it's just going to numb you out and then you won't eat as much. Okay. But what about this core thing that was been the problem the whole time? Maybe that should be resolved. This is why, again, I say for me in my program, we take weight loss and wrap it in personal development. It's not just about losing weight. It's about, oh, okay, you were depressed and you were using food to deal with that. How do you want to feel? I want to feel more engaged. I want to feel more alive. Okay, what can we do to make you feel that? So it goes way beyond the food and just the weight on a scale. It really becomes about being the best version of you that you can be. Who is the best you? And how do we make that a reality? Now, one piece of that is your weight, but it's way bigger than that. And so again, Ozempic is just, oh, I'll turn the cravings down so now I eat less. Great. I mean, I'm happy for you. And again, the weight loss is great. I'm happy for all that stuff, but it's really not anywhere close to what I'm talking about. Program Yourself then really isn't even a weight loss program. It's really a personal development program to help you lose weight, if that makes sense. And so again, if we're just talking dieting, I think everyone should get on Ozempic. Like if you're just going to be a dieter mindset, all you care about is the scale going down, I think you should probably get on Ozempic if you can get it for free or cheaply. That'll be probably the quickest, fastest way, that you could do it. But if you really want to master your weight, feel healthier, master your lifestyle, master your mindset, be able to truly live at your goal way for the rest of your life, and be the best version you possible, that's what I'm talking about. Like, so again, I just want to make that clear because there's a lot more context to what I'm talking about than just the surface level of Ozempic and what it does for you. Doran says the key is to incorporate more calorie diluted foods like vegetables and fruit, fiber, and water rich. I agree 1,000%. Yeah. You want less calorie dense foods. Threan says, thank you. You're welcome. How do I stop binging? Yeah. The quick answer to the binging thing is that you don't want to stop binging. You want to start recognizing what triggers the binge, right? So the next time you binge, instead of beating yourself or promising you'll never do it again, look 5 minutes before you started binging and ask yourself, where was I at hunger wise? How hungry was I? And where was I at emotionally? And what you'll probably find a lot of times is that you were starving because you've been over restricting and that you were in some emotionally, unpleasant state, let's say. Or you're in an emotionally pleasant state and then you binge. So again, everyone's different, but I think if you go back 5 minutes before you binge and look at where you're at hunger wise and where you're at emotionally, I think that's going to illuminate a lot of things. And then you can go to work on that. So we don't want to stop the binge. We want to prevent the binge. And by recognizing, by not getting yourself starving, that's one way to do it. By recognizing your emotions and dealing on a genuine level, that's another way to do it. So that's where I would start. Right? Catherine says, I love the aspect of your focus as being the best version of you. Yeah, people like that, right? That I'm telling you, please, folks, if you have not, please get on my email list because this motivation training is dropping today. I'm recording it as soon as I get off of here, and it will change your perspective. I'm telling you, the reason that you're struggling to lose weight more than anything else is because you're not motivated, and you're not motivated because of the way that you think about this whole process. You've been conditioned to think of it superficially, and it's not enough. Okay, and so this training is going to really reinforce it. It's free. I'm just giving it to you. Cause I don't know. I'm excited. I'm very excited about it. Yeah. John said, I love the way I eat and feel. Join PYT. Yeah, exactly. John is, again, he's one of my favorite stories recently because such a dramatic shift, but it's fun now. John's real story is starting now, in my opinion. And so it's going to be fascinating to see where you end up going. Cause yeah, you feel better the first day. Like you ever feel better the first day of your diet? No. And so that you feel better the first day and you build on that. So maybe you don't lose weight as quickly, but 2 months out, you've got a firm foundation under you and you keep going. You don't even know what that feels like because you're always building your diet on quicksand. There's nothing underneath you. How do you get on your email list? If you're on TikTok, just go to my bio and there's a link there. Click the link and then go opt in for the hypnosis session. It's free. And then watch the video that you brought to right after that. That's a really good video. It's about 20 minutes. It's all free though. Okay. And then you'll be on my email list and I'm going to send out that motivation training tomorrow to my email list. It's a doozy. It's a doozy. So watch out though. I got the warnings there because it's based, it's real. It's real. So, I put a warning on there. If you're feeling emotionally fragile, probably not the thing for you to watch, to be honest. But if you're feeling stable enough, let's do it. Okay. But I'm letting you know. So again, I think, it's very real to me. And so warn you with that. What's up, Joy? Sorry, everyone, I'm gonna get out of here. So yeah, I hope you all get on my email list. If you're not, click my bio or go to programyourselfthin.com and get the free hypnosis session. Listen to the hypnosis session, watch the video, read the emails, do the motivation video I'm going to send you, and listen to the podcast. Podcast is Program Yourself Thin, and it's on all the podcast platforms. Listen to it. If you like it, leave me a review. That helps me out. And yeah, thank you. Great questions today. I appreciate all of you so much. Thank you. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon. Bye.